Okay. Yeah. Mm, and then we are in the Mahayanas path, the four kind of concentrations. Mm, this is the four concentrations related to the four dhyanas, and this is a little bit. We need to get more information. Then is maybe it's in your Shedda books. It is probably you have this third one, 1.2, explanation of the view of the profound tantra we call are the superiors. And just maybe basically what is the difference between in the Mahayana followers. There's two type of the Mahayana, and like Sutayana's perspective Mahayana we already studied. Top of that Mahayana's view is Pasangika's view, and then is the Pasangikas and the resultant vehicle and the Mantrayana's view. What is the difference? For example, this explanation, maybe you have that one, okay? And it is explanation of the view of the profound tantra, which are the superiors. Superiors is like maybe how it is the superiors perspective of the view. And generally, when the emptiness aspect is considered to be Dharma Dhatu, absolute space, there is no difference between the Sutta and Tantra, just as being presented above. This is the Pasangika's view, okay? Pasangika's view. And both, of course, is like the absolute, view. It is the same, the feature, meaning of the absolute, like Dharma Dhatu absolute. Dharma Dhatu is absolute, like kind of the essence nature of the phenomena. Last time we say it's like the nature or the like expanse, and like this. This one is like everybody is wanted to reach there. Need to have feature or the feature of their minds. Then they are how they can to approach to the Dharma Dhatu absolute space. Dharma Dhatu absolute space. There's no difference between Sutta and Tantra. Sutta means Sutta is the Pasangika's perspective. And like this. There is like Mohammedan's, the Nishidurmi, there's one is, look, it says, in order to become decisive about the Kadak. Kadak is the view, the name view of the Mantrayanas. And Kadak means it's like in the Mantrayanas you don't say the emptiness, just the alpha purity, Kadak. And it's the necessary to the perfect Pasangika's views. And if you want to become the decisive, really to understand the meaning of the Kadak, then you need it's necessary perfect the Pasangika's view. And then if you have the Pasangika's view, then you can to establish perfect decisive the meaning of the Kadak. The Kadak means is the Dharma Dhatu absolute space. However, it is only from the perspective of the freedom from a liberation. And this is like what is the difference in the Sutta's perspective? even is the Pasangikas, and it's kind of the a little bit elaborate. Elaborate means it's like oh, this is not really pure, but it's pure. Maybe you do like this in the futures, maybe you will become like this. There is a kind of the a little bit elaborated, or maybe it's like a little bit more details, and very difficult. Maybe it's less the middling capacity, and like this. That there is the no difference, and only the different free from the elaboration. Free from elaboration, the meaning is same, but one is a very much go to the round, and like kind of the a little bit like elaborately. But there's no difference between sutta and the Tantra's view, yes? But on sutta it's like a kind of, if you say Shavaka or no Pachika, no, it's a Chitamita, it's not, then what? It's a Madhyamika. And the Savantatika is not Pasangika's view. And the view of the Mantrayanas, the Kadak alpha purities, and that is like a absolutely necessary. You need to how do you say, it's the Pasangika's view, then you can to establish. And it's a, you can to look at the oh sorry, and free from, next the like freedom from elaboration in the context of the suttas. This is the Pasangika Madhyamika view of the great emptiness. Great emptiness. Emptiness, not emptiness. You know, sometimes it says the emptiness. You say the emptiness, elaboration. You say the emptiness, also elaboration. Empty, not empty, you need to go beyond that. And like this, therefore, it's, even you say, oh, this emptiness, this elaboration. In the context of the subject matter of the profound tantras of the secret Mantrayana, in the Mahayoga viewpoint, it is absolute, the sameness, absolute sameness, very important. Absolute sameness, yes, absolute sameness, yeah, what is the matter? Absolute sameness, absolute sameness, absolute sameness, absolute sameness, absolute sameness, relative and absolute sameness. Both absolute, relative, absolute, there's no different. And the Mahayana base it is like this, like a kind of the great absolute of the relative truth, great absolute of the absolute truth, and it's like kind of the not different. And this is the Mahayogas. In any yoga viewpoint, it is the mandala of the absolute Samantha. And what it is, that means the primordial state just as it is. This is the like a basic. Here is like, maybe it's like a viewpoint. Maybe it's talking about more in the sutra, and I'm now sleeping. And how do you say, is in the Mantrayanas, of course, outer tantra and the inner tantras. And the inner tantras, this Mahayoga is the really foundation of the all the Tantrayanas. Therefore, it's the Mahayoga. Normally, there are the 7 absolute truth, okay? 7 absolute truth, Dharma Dhatu absolute truth, Primordial absolute truth, Then there is the how do you say, body, speech, mind, and qualities, and the activities. There's a five absolute truth. It is, is the according the enlightened, the absolute body, absolute speech, absolute the mind, absolute qualities, absolute activities. That is you call the seven aspect of absolute truth, the point of view of the Mahayogas. Mahayogas. Here is the principally Mahayoga says absolute sameness. Then in the Anayoga viewpoint, it is the mandala of the absolute Samantha Bhattisa. This is the primordial state just as it is. It is like a kind of the and it is like the absolute Dharmatat space. The absolute Dharmatat space. Absolute Dharmatat space. This is Samantha Bhatti. It's like Samantha Bhatti. And it is make examples, the warmth of the absolute Dharmadat space, to make the rebirth of the all existence of the samsaras nirvanas. But in the warmth of the Dharmadhatu absolute space, which is the seventh bhattis mandalas, and whatever occurring in there's no different itself, Dharmadhatu, the absolute space. And like a kind of the warmth of the ocean, whatever occurring, appearing, make the rebirth of the waves. Then the waves, oceans, not different, same. But this is the waves mandala is the not different of the mandala of the ocean. And like this, the mandala of the absolute Samadhi is the primordial state just as it is. And the wave is occurring, this water, or it's like waves. When occurring from the ocean, the wave itself, the water qualities, is exactly the same of the ocean's water. And water is like wave. Water has become wave. Water is different, changed. Water resolved. The wave is dissolved into the ocean, changed. No, same exactly. It's just like kind of expression of the ocean. Like this, the primordially, like the state just as it is like it is a relative or absolute. There is no different. This is the Samatha Bhattali, mandala of absolute Samatha Bhatti, the primordial state of just as it is. The Ani Yoga's viewpoint is the great absolute Kadak, which are the synonyms. All of them are the like kind of, and how do you say, it's like a synonym. If you say it's like the absolute sameness, or it is the absolute, how do you say, absolute mandala, the mandala of absolute Samantha Bhatti, or it is the great absolute Katak, or the great like kind of the view of the emptiness. That is a little bit kind of the essence perspective, the similarities. For example, in the Mantrayana's perspective, you empty or not emptiness. Emptiness is not really kind of the how do you say, absolute, the Dharma Dhatu absolute space. And Dharma Dhatu absolute space, when you make joke, okay, and this is Dharma Dhatu absolute space. Oh really? Oh yes. How it is just Dharma Dhatu absolute space. Ote Dharma Dhatu absolute space. What do you need? And the Sutta perspective, oh yes, but that means is emptiness, is like this. Then there is a liberation. In the Mantrayana perspective, this is at it is, or it is Dharma Dhatu absolute space. Then that's all not kind of is it empty or not empty, it is. This one is absolutely, you cannot to describe something, express. This is like kind of that immediately direct to selling. This elaboration means, and therefore it's like also the Mohan Rinpoche, he says it is the both glorious Shantakirti and India and Ronzon Chuzon, Tibetan scholar, like declared Kadak and great emptiness to be one in the assertion and one is the void. There's like kind of they like established same way. They, for example, Ronzon Mahapantata is very famous Tibet masters, and of course is the India great like follower of the Nangachuna Chandrakirti. And they both is that they understood is doesn't matter in the Manti Sutayana's perfect view, Pasangika's view of the emptiness, and the Mantrayana's view of the Kadak is the same. And also it's like Kadak, this the view of the Kadak go through the Pasangika's view to understand the meaning of the Kadak set. And therefore superior indivisibility of the true truth may be superiors. Would you like to write down? Superiors indivisibility of the true truth. Superiors and extraordinary. Superior indivisibility of the true truth. The superiors indivisibility of the true truth. The superiors indivisibility of true truth. The superiors indivisibility of true truth. Superiors indivisibility of true truth. Yes? And indivisible. Now, then is what is different? What is different between and the Sutta and the Mantrayanas? Look, the difference between the Sutta and Tantras. One, with regard to the aspect of the appearances and luminosity, and second one is with regard to the means, skillful means. And also it's like, what is the difference in the luminosity aspect, appearance luminosity aspect? Here is the difference of the clarity, detail, and complexion of two luminosities. It is great as the between heaven and earth. And that perspective then is really different, like earth and sky, and it's like then heaven and earth. Okay. There is, it's like, and luminosity aspect and clarity aspect. It's a different. Clarity perspective, clarity, different than the luminosity aspect. There's two things: clarity, detail, complexions. And clarity aspect, all phenomena are the very, very clearly. But each individual details. Have you practiced the Yamka? Yes? What is talking about? His generation stages. Like kind of the five like kind of 5 faculties, 5 objects. It's just the detail in the 5 objects, the 5 like kind of the faculties, maybe 5 Buddha families. Males, maybe it's the females. There's a connecting the 10 5 faculties maybe is like kind of the male, 5 object desirable is the female deities. And like there's details, everything is the deity. Everything is, you don't need to say, or maybe if you realize that it is deity, or maybe if you practiced, they transform into the deity. Not like this. Detail. Complexion is like there's primordially how it is like this, the details. Then it's different. In the luminosity aspect, in the suttas, there's not much talking about. And then means said, by the taking everything on the path, there are many means by which the supreme and ordinary siddhis can be accomplished. And therefore also they are the known as the causal and resultant path. I don't want to go more detail. There is you have, and it's very simply to say that the essence views point Sutta and Tenta, particularly Pasangika's perspective, is good. If you really is like to know about the view of the Kadak is like the highest view of the Mantrayanas. And you should to learn Pasangika's view. If you know the Pasangika's view perfectly, and then it's very easily to understand the view of the Kadak Alpha Purities. For example, when you practice Mantrayana, maybe direct, you need to receive the introduction of the natural realities. For example, great masters, they check into you. Did you practice the to completed 500,000 of the preliminary practice, finish it? If you say no, they never give you. Or maybe they asked you, did you study it and the Madhyamaka's view or this sutta perspective? If you say no, then it's impossible. But if you say, I didn't done yet the Hundro preliminary practice, I studied the Madhyamaka's view, or it's the Suttayanas, this stage. It's like the fourfold, the Shavaka Pachik Buddha and the Chittamata Madhyamakas, everything's I done, I studied. They say it's no problem. They can give you, they easily to introduce to you, and easily to introduce the view of the Kadak Alpha Purities. Without that, it's very, very difficult. Of course, then only we need to faith, devotion. And faith and devotion is a very, very difficult. Each moment, it's like kind of the losing. Today we have such a faith, devotion. Even the lamas make big nyua you can to eat, really. And but this is devotion. Tomorrow is something a little you can't get our wish. Even the like kind of the lama's head or the most clean part on his cup give to the why? No, thank you. I don't want it. And this is like kind of this faith devotion is very much weak and changeable, and also our faith devotion is very, very, very much kind of the vivita faith. Vivita faith means maybe some beautiful. For example, you go to the some great kind of the female masters, and you have such desire, maybe it's too close, looks like a very beautiful female master, say. Maybe something else. Maybe this female master is really a little ugly, don't know what happened. I cannot go to this. But in the realizations, we don't know. And also the male is like this. Sometimes, attractive, say. For example, it's like sometimes it's like how do you say, it's like masters, maybe handsome, fat, intelligence. Nice. Maybe someone's like you already saw Lama Kaddi start, maybe, I don't know really. And this kind of vivid faith, and sometimes eager faith, And if I may go to there, maybe I can to get something. If we can't get, we lose money, we go away. Then irreversible faith is very, very difficult. And then Islam must point out something that is the view of the Kadak Alpha period. Maybe yes, maybe not. I can't do that. I cannot do like this. Maybe for my culture, my language is like this. And for example, Ajahn Todar Rinpoche is very great masters. He came to Inshore Singha. He give each individual one monk, and he said, I want to receive. So, okay, to sit there. And then it's like sitting there. And then suddenly he said, what has happened to your mind? And he was become very, very nervous and like this. And then it's like suddenly something is void, like had this voices coming, nervous, afraid. But he said it's like behind there is one many walls, and this many wall is very strange. His body is in front of the teacher, his mind is jumping, going there. And then suddenly he says, maybe this person's what they give me, okay, introduce nature. And then suddenly is this Ajahn Todar Rinpoche, when you really to sit the front, he knows what's going on in your mind. And then he said this, dear, what happened in your mind? Go back. And next time, he said, this kind of monks never sent to me. Impossible. It's jumping round and so much. It's like kind of, it's like still they need it. It is something, he stopped almost. It's very become sad. And it's like this. And therefore, it's like we study, okay, a little bit. Then maybe it's a reasonable coming. Oh, now it's like this, okay. Then you can to argue with teacher, argue. Finally, then you cannot talk. You happy or not happy, you cannot argue. And then you really accept or not accept. Maybe someone's not accept. Even the high educated become the very bizarre. And someone is like the finally, oh yeah, that is really truth. Is everything says absolutely I'm agreed with. Then they follow this. And someone has irreversible faith. And really it is just maybe luckily they met qualified teacher. If not qualified teacher, irreversible faith is a stupid faith. It's become the ruin out. You know, if it's like any kind of spiritual friend and call the lamas, maybe you follow, maybe it's destroyed your life. Therefore, in the word of my perfect teacher said, you should to analyze at least 3 years. Teacher need to analyze the student need to analyze teacher. Maybe after the 3 years, you have confidence each other. Maybe it's like probably this teacher, student, maybe teachers analyze, maybe very aggressive, but teacher has fully trust. Maybe it's very kind of the strange, bad characteristics, behaviors, but teachers understand this really loyalty or the irreversible faith, and no problem. But someone is very kind, smiling, and it's like everything's obeyed, but inner is like kind of lack of the faith, irreversible trust. And maybe after 3 years, more go back to the far, you know. It is difficult. I just take example. In Zashka, there's one Lama. He has a student. He's a very aggressive guy. But he loved his teacher very much. His teacher is not that famous, but very good practitioner. Of course, great practitioner. Then he says, it's my teacher. He's like, one he goes, he's a horse, and he take, nobody's cannot do touch. And then it's like all the time together. But very aggressive, I told you. 1 in the morning, and the attendant, his students, making tea, and boiled tea put in the teacher's cup, and he drink. I think this is you really it's boiled. Oh yes, I boiled. He bring back and to make the fire and boil. Oh, come back and he pull in the teacher's. And he drink, and he says, "Do you really is today your tea is something wrong? It looks like not boiled." And he bring back and put and what the tea is, and come back, and teacher hold his mouth and put in. Of course it's burn because so hungry. And then immediately cry, prostrating, and then he's a confess, but his mouth completely burned. But it's like when he go to some village, if you say your teacher stands, he immediately want to make war. There's no doubt. And in this world, it's like one perfect single teacher. It is my teacher. Then certainly, then after the end of, he's become the same as his teacher. And then his teachers passed away. He's become exactly the representative. The teacher, his teachers, really, it's become very famous. Like this kind of the irreversible, when we have the faith, maybe it's a qualified teacher, probably, but not that. We need to study. We need to study. We need to study. Then is the Manchurian resultant teachings is the coming. For example, we can to say Mahayana's absolute sameness, relative truth, absolute truth. And also it's said the supreme indivisibility of the true truth. And when you say like this, it's really, and many people say it's like, good, bad you combine. Are you sure? Relative and absolute combine. It's become the indivisibility. Are you sure? And then it's like, if you say, are you sure, in the authentic perspective, Manchurian, that is the end. They say send back to, you need to study. It's cannot. And then it's like, or maybe it's like you say, yeah, no problem. What it's like same as I went to in the French school, Vous comprenez? Said, oui. Only answer with, but nothing to understand. But vous comprenez? Said, oui. Like this. And teachers point out the view of this, like kind of the supreme indivisibility to truth. Do you understand? Yes, we. Inside, I don't know really how it is. Then is problem, error, like this. Or maybe it's like, yeah, that is true. Maybe it's yes, and this decisive, precise. I meditate on it. Say, that is maybe it's a kind of result. Therefore, this is Manchuriana's a little bit we can to say is the view. And for example, in the Dzogchen Rinpoche's text, you have there is a explanation of the the inner. There's three inner yanas. Three inner yana means it's like inner Manchuriana, and then there is like kind of the outer tantra, inner tantra. You say these are the three outer classes of the tantra: the yana of the Kriya tantra, the yana of the Charya tantra, and the yoga, the yana of the yoga tantra. And this the view, I think, is all the tantras similarity. They should to have the pure perception. It's the same as the alpha pure, pure perceptions. But here is like a kind of, there are the more a little bit kind of dualistic kind of tantric practice. And it's like a kind of, how do you call, it's like called the, you might wonder why, like I said, that this class we call of the Vedic asceticism. This is very important. Vedic asceticism. Asceticism, it is like more Brahmas levels, and like some is a clumsiest Brahmas. It's they very much want to follow up the asceticism, and it's a Vedic asceticism. It's just like I say it's like everything's to make a clean. Like it's for example the Triya Yoga is here is the the how do you say, the yoga of the Triya Yoga. Triya Yoga is more focus on like kind of the activity, conduct. Conduct means more discipline. And you wearing clean clothes? Did you wash your mouth? Did you take a shower? Did you change a color? Sometimes per day 3 times to change a color, 3 times to take a shower, 3 times to the wash teeth, and then very clearly to like meditations, so called like this, and meditate. That I don't need to more detail. And then is the yoga and the how do you say, Charya Yoga, and Charya Yoga is like normally connect yoga. Connect yoga. Connect yoga means it's like kind of the view is the yoga center, and it's like conduct activity is more the Triya Yoga, and this is like kind of the how do you say, activity is like same as the a little bit Triya Yoga, but view is a little bit more yoga center, and therefore it is like its own self. It is like this because it's the kind of the mixed. And then is the yoga center itself is more focus on the view. There's not very much kind of taking care the other like kind of the changing clothes. Maybe it's like per day one you can to change clothes, wash once. This is our normal daily life, yes. In the morning wash, in the afternoon smelling the but carry until the sleep, and like this sort of maybe more is like a focus on the view, and the conduct or the activities not very much, kind of more is like any kind of to contact. And look, this this Vedic, the asceticism, Vedic asceticism. It is because the 3 out classes of Tantra stray aspect of ascetic conduct, like kind of such as ritual purification, is like kind of the when you do the ritual purifications, like kind of changing clothes, taking bath. For example, in the Ganga, you bath again, you can to purify your kind of how do you say, it's like obscurations, and the purification and purifications, conduct, ritual purification, and cleanliness, like kind of the very much clean. A little bit you have dirty, immediately you need to clean. This aspect, they are the similar to the Vedic tradition of the Brahmas, absolutely. And then is the Charya Yoga. It's how it says the Triya Tantra are the action. Tantra Yoga is like Tantra are the so called because they are the concerned not mainly with like internal view conduct, the practice of the ritual purification and cleanliness and so on, same as the Triya Tantras. It's the how do you say, Triya Uppa, the Triya Yogas. This is Uppa Yoga, yes. Yeah. Triya Tantra. Yajit Tepan Hi. Okay, to stay is a Tantra Yoga. And then it's like it's the entry point of view, meditation, conduct, this the 5 same as. And then it says like in the initial point of the entry to the path of Sikut mentor Vajrayana is the, of course, now it's start talking about empowerment, rapid empowerment. So here one received the outer empowerment, which establish the potential for the ripening into the Dharmakaya and the crown empowerment is like the how to say some okay, Quran is like kind of Quran is the first Buddha families, the attributes, and which establish the potential for the ripening into the Rupakaya. Then one keep the general samaya of the Tiya Yoga as they are the explained in the particularly texts themselves. There is a true kind of the empowerment, and the first is like kind of the water empowerment, is established seed of the Dharmakayas like a result. Second empowerment, crown empowerment, it is like kind of the maturation seed on the mind stream, is like a Zuk Rupakayas. And then it's like and how it is the established the view, I think is the pure to the pure perception is like maybe same, and the term of the determining the view, the basis of the path, they realized that the ground of the purification and the nature of the mind itself, and there is like kind of ripa awareness, is the wisdom of the empty, clarity, and is the ultimately beyond all the extreme of the liberation. This is like kind of the in the Sutanta perspective, the view is a completely go beyond the extreme or explain like a liberation, empty, not empty like this kind of, such as the exerting not like kind of the existing, appearing, or the being empty. Then one view the aspect of the relative appearances, which are what must be purified as the characteristic of the complete few deities. And here is like the what you have to purify. There's like your kind of the this true nature of the mind. In this is the primordially, is the absolute. It is go beyond the like existent, no existent, and it's like appearances, the emptiness, not like this. This is kind of the like free of the elaborations. Then it's like how you can to purify that one. All the in the relative realities, it's like to meditate, as is the characteristic of the deities. That is the different luminosity perspective of the sutta. And then it's like when you meditate, there is, but maybe I don't want to go through this. You can to read, okay? It's maybe it's take time, because it's like each one has maybe a little bit different. As for the path and the way of the practice in meditation, in increase around the four and the realities, four realities, yes, four realities, and four realities, four realities, four realities, four realities, and four realities, four realities, four realities, the reality of the oneself, reality of the deity, and the practice by the means of the six aspect of the deities, the visualize oneself as the samaya form, and the invoking the wisdom being to the space in the front, consider oneself as the servant, and the deity as on the master. And then, because upon the reality of the mantra recitations, which is the sound and the mind and the ground, and meditate upon the reality of the concentration, which consists of the remaining in that flame continuation of the sound and combination of the sounds. And there is like kind of the this kind of the four samadhis, or it's like kind of the how do you say realities, and like kind of the in Tibet you call the tenyutu, the four reality or the four suchness, and there is kind of the explanations. For example, first self kind of the suchness, and the suchness of the deities. And then it's like this like the mentarations, the suchness. Then it's like the meditations, the suchness. Then it's like the suchness of the that this 4 years. You receive 4 years through this 4 suchness. And then it's like a conduct is a very one perform the 3 kind of the ritual purification, means you taking bath or like make changing the 3 types of the clothing, adopt the deity of the 3 white food, and practice ritual fasting and mental stations. Like this kind of the Nyoni practice is very much Traya Yoga. It's like we have Nyoni. One day you eat, drink, one day to stop. This is like more the kind of the Nyoni's tradition. You call the Nyoni, or how do you call the practice ritual fasting? Yes, ritual fasting. They call the fasting, yes, ritual fasting and mental recitations. Nyoni to dijulas over mental recitations. And then is after the result, it is like the result forms becomes the desiralamus vijidaras, and ultimately one attained awaken the vijidara of one of the 3 Buddha families, like the family of the enlightened body, Berochana, wonderful family of enlightenment speech, Amitabha, or the family of the enlightenment at the Ashongaba. These 3 is like kind of they accept 3 Buddha families. Who are they? Berochana, Amitabha, Ashobhya, yes? Ashobhya, Mshupa, Ashobhya. This like kind of they need to be enlightenment. Okay, maybe we can do. It's a sorry questions. And also, it's okay. Maybe it's like I'm a little kind of the maybe thought for you is to give information to this text. I don't need to read it, but maybe a little bit we together to more memorize that. Now it's like in the word of my perfect teachers, and we are talking about it is the 4 concentrations. These 4 concentrations, maybe more explanations. Can you look at the Abhisamaya Lankaras? Maybe in our Sheda book there's a little bit, and this is like a kind of the one you are like 4 concentrations, 4 like a formless realm state. You arrive in this level of your mind meditation. I think is the according the path of the seeing, path of the meditation. Okay. And yesterday there is one Korimas, she's asked, says, Patimokshas, the vows, the 7, how do you say, 7 set of the Patimokshas vow. Sota rigdam, sota rigjet, sota rigdan rigjet, and this is like you can to say it's like a mundane 3 vows, and then it's like the others are, it is for the monks. It is like a kind of how do you say, really like kind of the practitioners. It's a perspective, and in this perspective is like first one is like entering or the like genye. How do you say is this? How do you call the name? Is no lay practitioner, but there is one specific name. But is the lay practitioners, and then there is the really lay practitioner. They have the true and the male and something female. Gesser has like a male and female. Gelno has male and female. and then 6, and first one is a 7. Then it's like the how do you say? It is a Nyenni Chidambase. Nyenni is like kind of what we are now talking about. The we used to talking about this. How do you call that? Oh, my gosh, it's a little. Yes, ritual fasting. Ritual fasting, ritual fasting, ritual fasting, ritual fasting. They take same almost individual liberation vows. There's like kind of like a genhin means nachi song genya, tamon song genya. Genhin patin you keep one the discipline or many discipline. For example, one discipline I want to take vows not to kill, the single vows taking. Two is like okay, I don't want to the stole like this, and you can take a one single or many or middle like this. This is a kind of the Gevanyenbat. Maybe it's that the like ritual fastings is like there's you need to take really it's like based 5 these rules like stop killing, stealing, like sexual misconduct, lying, alcohols principally. You need to take these 2 days only. 2 days. There's rules. They have discipline. And like this 7. Okay, yeah, now this is question.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Vipema asks, Dear Rinpoche Lab, could you please explain more about the means of change, in particular for inanimate object? Thank you.
I think you offer the servers the carrot salad, yes? And carrot is like when you put it in the ground, it's a seed, yes? Then it's slowly it's become the like shoot, yes? Then it's a flower, leaf, and then it's a carrot coming. This changing process or not? Okay, that is the like everything's changing like this. Which mandala? Yeah, this mandala is never become old. 100% one day is the fell down. There's a process of the exhaustions. If this mandala is not changed, then it's the mandala is permanent. Maybe it's you not keep like this. Maybe it's 20, 30, 100 years. Automatic, they demolish. There is exhaustions. Everything is the exhaustions. Without exhaustions, the phenomenon never ever exists. Even the science perspective of, even the world is exhausting. Rock is exhausting. Everything is exhausting, okay? Okay, other question?
Thank you. Olga Amirova says, did I get it right that we can consider the views of the 4 Mahayana schools, 2 Madhyamikas and 2 Chittamatras, as a kind of stages towards the realization of emptiness?
Sort of. You need to more study.
Thank you. Rusiko from Georgian Sangha says, Dear Rinpoche, what is the difference between the true nature of mind and consciousness? Best regards.
Best regard, Rusiko. How's your brother? I hope it's okay. And true nature and consciousness is the essence of the consciousness is true nature. And of course, it's relatively true nature in the mind is a little different, but absolutely there's no different. True nature is consciousness, consciousness is true nature.
Thank you. Taran Su says, Thank you, Rinpoche. to advise to read the book Buddha Nature, the Mahayana
Uttara Tantra.
Uttara Tantra. In the introduction, it mentioned the Dharmakaya is purity, even the imprints are removed. How could imprints be removed? Does this mean due to karma is purified, so even imprints caused to karmic suffering or pleasure is removed? Why we ordinary beings are unable to remove imprints?
Okay, can you make precise? Okay, if you are talking about the Dharmakaya's perspective is remove or unremove. If you remove something, is Dharmakaya you removed. But maybe it's like this when you read, and maybe it's good, but later we can to study more. If I'm tell you, it's like to take a lot of time. Sorry.
Thank you. Emi Nakamoto says, I want to know when we can start the practice of prostrations 100,000 times, refuge 100,000 times, and other branches of preliminary practice. Is it the teacher who should tell us, okay, now you start? Or we can start ourselves without waiting any message from the teacher?
You don't need to waiting message from the teacher. If you really honest it, totally you rely on your own teacher, oh yes, maybe. But we are not. And in this perspective, you should to tidy up your own path. And it's like a kind of, are you ready? You ready? You need to do. When you hungry times, are you waiting for the teacher's answer? Surely not. You are immediately go to in the kitchen is eating. Like this. You are hungry for the liberation stage, then you should to eat quickly 500 preliminary practice. No need to waiting for the teacher.
Thank you. Dasha Guseva asks, if Shittamatra and Madhyamika followers attain same fully enlightenment, why do they need these difficult views of difference and argumentations? It's easier to follow one general view without debates.
Yes, you are right. Everybody has this idea, but approach to the real views, there's different approach. And then they are like, it's maybe someone like, for example, really they approach the goal, same goal, one goal, but you approach, maybe you have your ideas. Others follow, they have ideas. Maybe in the another one, another has ideas. They approach different ideas. Someone is very round, it takes time. Someone's very fast. And some just one moment there's a reach. But of course, this is our the wish. Maybe it's just concern is one. Everybody thinks I'm thinking also one goal. This is the view, but they approaches their own ideas. Maybe this like, but maybe like that. Then they are different classes.
Thank you. Clotilde asks, the Mahayana practitioners can reach complete Buddhahood without residues. The Chittamatras still have a little misunderstanding as for the view. Can they yet reach full Buddhahood without residue? If any, what difference is there in terms of result?
Yes, but what do you mean, which Mahayana?
My understanding was that...
Which Mahayana?
My understanding was all Mahayana.
But what do you mean, Mahayana? Chittamatra itself is the Mahayana.
Yes.
Then what do you mean, Mahayana?
Then is there any difference in the result?
What is in the
between
because you need this Mahayana and Chittamatra to compare. Which Mahayana?
No, I wanted to know within Mahayana.
Within Mahayana?
Within Mahayana.
Okay, inner Tantra's Mahayana.
I was not thinking like with Tantras. This I understood it's like different ways to
But
reach
yes,
the same
but in the
result.
Sutayanas, Mahayana is the Chittamata and Madhyamaka, both is Mahayana.
Yes.
Then
I'm confused if they have the same
yes,
result
then
or
you
not.
need to precise questions. Okay. Because if you say it's like Chittamatas and the Madhyamakas is the goal, like finally result is same or not. Then you say the Mahayana, even the Chittamata itself is the Mahayana. Which you mean Mahayana school?
This is my question. Is there a difference in the result?
Okay, then you say it's in the Mahayana, your question, we can correct. In the Mahayana, Chittamatas and the Madhyamakas, the final goal, result is the same or not? Yes? Okay, same. No different. But in the as I give to the how do you say, dasha, it says like this, Chittamatas want to the view of the same as Pasangika, but the approach is their own ways approach, then the problem. And then there's Madhyamikas, also there is Madhyamikas like the Svantatikas, also a little bit, the way is different, the view is the same. The final goal is the same, they reach. But it's like almost the Chittamatas, one is a goal, is okay, you can to say is the finally, I think is Chittamatas, there's finally give even the existence of the mind luminosity, okay? It's like not the same as the like Shavaka, Pachika Buddhas. There's nothing truly, it's luminosity, finally it's like really go beyond the liberation. I think it's like Chittamatas is never return. It's like Madhyamaka same, they are be enlightenment. That's finished. Okay la. Thanks. Now so nam da tam che zik ba nya to ne ni bu dan nam pang ye te she ga nan chi wa lan. So pun so len do kan do wa sho.